Howdy, howdy, and welcome to episode 25 of the Back of the End Zone podcast. I'm Joshua Isaac here with Brian Koleski, and man, episode 25.
And is it already week 4 of the college football season, man? It is, and week 3 of NFL season. It is flying by, man. It is, but it's been a blast so far. Boy, do we have some good things, a lot of stuff to get into in this episode. How about the Jaguars?
Yeah,
man?
Seriously, South Alabama beating Oklahoma State in Stillwater.
Not just beating them, dominating them from start to finish. We'll get into that.
And just like every week, I feel like we say this at the beginning of the episode, like there's so much craziness that happened in college football this past week. And I mean, even in the NFL too.
Yes.
And we'll get into that. But it's like literally so much crazy stuff has been going on. Literally like between Alabama last week. I mean, Jalen Milroe didn't start, but yeah, I know. I mean, we'll get into that. Then same with like looking at Colorado versus Colorado State. I don't think any of us expected that game to go the way that it did. And to the extent that it did.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're going to get into all of that. And we have a special guest picker today, too.
The Fox 10 sports director, Emily Cochran, will be joining us. I'm interning there, and I technically work under her. And so we invited her to come on the show today. And so we'll get her in here towards the end of the show.
But heck yeah, we're going to get right into it now with segment 1 with a little bit of recap from this past week and a little bit of some of the dirty plays that happened and just, I mean, not necessarily, but let's dive right into it with segment 1. Before we dive into segment 1, we would just like to thank one of our sponsors, 251 Pool Works. They are family owned and operated. 251 Pool Works offers pool cleaning, maintenance, and repair. They serve the greater Baldwin County and Mobile and Pensacola areas. And if you're needing any monthly pool cleaning service and or repair, give them a call at 251-978-7736 for the Pool Works. We cannot thank 251 Pool Works enough for sponsoring our podcast and just helping us out.
That's right.
And I mean, go check them out though. Seriously, like if you have a pool, call 251 Pool Works.
Especially when it's about to get cool, you're probably not going to use your pool as much. Get it clean, get it ready for next spring, next summer. I've seen some of their work; it's incredible. But with that, they got some games to get into from this past weekend. Most notably, especially for us here at University of South Alabama. How about them Jaguars, man?
Yeah, seriously, man. And I feel like South Alabama was buzzing all over college football social media after, like, on Saturday evening, like before the Colorado State game. And like, cause I'm following like hundreds of different college football accounts, and all of these accounts were like, holy cow! Like South Alabama not only like destroyed Oklahoma State, but like they just ultimately really did destroy Oklahoma State. And all Oldrow was posting stuff of all these sad Oklahoma State fans, and they're like, I hate my life losing to South Alabama. But like notably though, South Alabama is legit.
I think this was like the realization for people. You know, that South had a chance to kind of prove it against Tulane, and they didn't. That is what it is. But this was like South's prove it to the entire nation about how good that they've become since the start of last season, going 10-3 last season, and then this season they go into Stillwater and they don't just beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was like an 8-point favorite. I mean, I thought South had a chance to win, even though I picked Oklahoma State last week. I thought South had a legitimate chance to win. It's one thing to go in there and win. There's another thing to go in there and win by 26. And just dominate across the entire, on the stat sheet, everything. They went in there, and once they got up, they didn't ever look back. And, you know, the crowd, first I got to say, Oklahoma State, Boone Pickens Stadium is an incredible atmosphere. I loved it. I went to the game. You know, I worked for the team, and it was an incredible atmosphere. Some of the traditions that they have, it was amazing to see. And I've always liked their field. I've always liked their colors, the orange and black. But man, it was just a dominating game for South Alabama from start to finish, and they just never looked back. Specifically
though, too, going into this game, I mean, we just talked about this too before the show. Like, for South Alabama going into this game, it was very questionable with a lot of guys missing, a lot of injuries. But LaDamian Webb, man, he went out there and literally just dude feasted. Went out literally against Oklahoma State, had 18 carries for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. And, like, when he was just running the ball, dude never looked back. Like,
and South was just able to grind Oklahoma State down physically. They were physical running the ball. They took their shots when they needed to. Colin Lacey had a career game after against Southeastern Louisiana having a good game and having over 100 yards. He goes and have another 100-yard game, especially after Devin Boyson out for the season. I hate it for him. He's a great, phenomenal player, phenomenal dude as well. Have many conversations with him. He's awesome. But I mean, you didn't know what this offense was going to look like without him, because he was also one of South's leading receivers last year, and up until he had gotten hurt. So it was different to see. The defenses just kind of pay their attention to Lacey when it came to the passing game, but that wasn't the case. It was just, and on defense, man, South was just humming on defense. They were pinning their ears back. Oklahoma State was not able to get anything going in the run game. Had 5 sacks.
Yeah, Brock Higdon with 2 of them too. I mean, literally, this South Alabama team just
Marquise Robinson with a pick,
a
crucial pick early in the game that gave South Alabama led to a South Alabama touchdown to go up 16-0. So I mean, it was just incredible to see.
They really just showed the world who they really are. Like, literally all of the college football world was like, wow. Because I remember last year, too, after South lost to UCLA, everybody was like, oh, my God, like, South Alabama almost upset UCLA, like, ha, ha, ha. And they thought it was, like, a huge deal to them that UCLA let that happen. But, no, this South Alabama team is legit. And what Kane Womack is, like, building here. At the end of the game in his post-game interview, I know you didn't see it because you were there, but literally at the end of the game, Kane was, like, just praising the team at, like, how well they've been doing, how good of a week of practice it was going into that game. And just, like, he was telling everybody, he was like, hey, if you're a football player and you're graduating high school in the class of 2024, he's like, look up Mobile, Alabama right now in South Alabama.
Not just football players, but students in general. I remember and I watched it, too, because it was on Twitter.
Oh.
But he said, if you're a student, looking for somewhere to go to school, look at Mobile. And I retweeted that and I said, why not South? Why not Mobile? I mean, Mobile, for all of its flaws, it's still a great city.
It's a phenomenal city. And I mean, just like our campus too, like exactly, like just the heart of our campus too, it's growing so much where students are like proud to be a South Alabama Jaguar.
Exactly.
Fans are too. Like, people are getting more and more into the sports here. And I mean, it's just awesome to see.
And now we have homecoming week where we host Central Michigan, and people are excited, man. People, and I hope this brings more people to the stadium on Saturday when they host Central Michigan for homecoming. I hope to see it packed out, kind of like it was for Troy last year. They have really starting to. I mean, Coach Kane has been building something ever since he got here, and it's just phenomenal to see. And so South, they really.
They're really building something. They're going uphill. But speaking of going uphill, there's a team that may be going downhill. I don't know. You may not like that statement. Looking over to the Alabama Crimson Tide after this past week against the South Florida Bulls. Sorry about the lighting change there, but lights went up because I started talking about how bad Alabama's been. But seriously, though, guy. I mean, I don't want to say that they've been bad, but I don't think even you wanted to see the way Alabama played against
It was
South
raining,
Florida.
okay? They had a rain delay.
Yeah, it was raining, and Jalen Milroe was not starting, obviously. But 17-3, and the fact that this game was 3-3 at halftime, like, what was going on? Like, that's just...
I'm going to tell you what's going on. The quarterbacks that played for Alabama, Ty Simpson and Tyler Buckner, combined 10 for 23, 107 yards, no touchdowns. Ty Simpson, a 21.5 QBR. Buckner, 15.2 QBR. That is what was going on. And also on the offensive line, I don't know what's going on with the offensive line. Josh Pate, he works for CBS. He had a good point. He said that it seemed like some of the team responded to Milroe being benched, and they just I don't want to say didn't give a lack of effort, but it felt like they were trying to prove that they were they were upset with that decision. I clearly thought Milroe was the guy despite 2 interceptions against Texas. I mean, especially after this weekend, I think he's definitely the guy.
100%.
But the offensive line has been the most concerning thing to me because it's the offensive line for Alabama. Alabama used to and Saban's early tenure, they used to just be able to grind teams up front. Anytime you needed a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 short yardage situation, Alabama was going to say, "Screw you! Our guys are more physical. Our guys are bigger. We're going to show it right here on this 4th and 1, and we're just going to out physical you." Bama got out physical against USF, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Now defense came to play. If it weren't for the defense, Bama
if it weren't for if Byram Brown for USF had a game, they would have won that game. He went 14 for 28, 87 passing yards, and he got sacked 5 times. No touchdowns and a pick.
But South Florida was able to put up 177 rushing yards against Bama. Bama had 203 rushing yards. So, I mean,
it's really split.
I think it's just a wake-up game. I think it's like a wake-up calling for Alabama. I don't know what they're going to look like against Ole Miss this week. It's going to be tough.
That is going to be a good game. The good thing for Alabama is that you guys are home.
The good thing is Ole Miss has not really played that much competition. They played Tulane. But
that was their biggest win, 37-20 at
Tulane. And Tulane did have their backup quarterback. But I don't know, man. It's tough to sit here as an Alabama fan and say you're positive about this game, but it's literally a prove it to me situation this weekend. I mean, either you're going to come out and dominate and show, hey, we're not done yet, or you're going to come out still looking flat and probably get your ass kicked on your first SEC game of the year. And it is at home in Bryant-Denny. I do think that'll have an impact, but I don't know, man. It's tough. Ole Miss is a great team. Now, a good thing for Bama is Quinshon Judkins, the running back for Ole Miss, who's phenomenal back. He's been struggling in recent weeks to get rolling. Bama's run game defense has been pretty good. The last few weeks, even against Texas, it was pretty good. I just worry about the secondary. Will Jackson Dart be able to exploit that? I don't know. I'm not feeling great. It was torture. I felt I felt like I was. I don't know. It was just torture.
I would feel the same way. Like, as an Ohio State fan, the way we started off the first 2 weeks, to me, it was torture. Even it was you guys won 17-3, and it was like the same thing. Ohio State week 1 against Indiana, winning 20-3 or whatever it was, or 23, whatever the hell it was. I don't even remember. But it was torture because for teams like us, those are teams that you're supposed to beat by 50 points and not let them score more than 3. And it's like,
and I do think the weather was a little bit of a factor. It did pour down pretty hard in the first half, and they had a really long rain delay. I think it was maybe like an hour and a half, and it wasn't even halftime yet. So you also had halftime as well, and so maybe it wasn't maybe it was hard for Bama and probably USF to probably get into some sort of rhythm with that going on. But at the end of the day, Alabama probably paid this team a lot, just kind of like Oklahoma State paid. Oklahoma State paid South $300,000.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. We'll see what Alabama has to do against Ole Miss. It is just tough.
It is very tough. But another game that was tough too was Colorado State at Colorado. Going into that game, I know that it's a rival game, but just based off of all the Colorado hype, I was expecting Colorado to blow Colorado State out of the water. And I think that this was also a big wake-up call for Colorado. I mean, they came in and Braden Fowler Nicolosi, or however you say his name, Colorado State's quarterback, went out and had a career night passing for 367 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 3 picks. And I mean, Colorado right now, their defense is leading the nation in turnovers.
Yep.
But at the same time, though, it's like it was a game where we weren't expecting to see Colorado State play that well. And I don't know.
I just think it was one of those situations where it was a rivalry game and things can get tense in a rivalry.
The emotions, that was crazy.
I think it was just one of those rivalry games because people I mean, teams show up differently on a rivalry game. Like take Michigan, Ohio State for example. It don't matter how bad. It don't matter how.
But yeah, in previous years, like say like 8-9 years ago, like there was games when Michigan was not ranked or Ohio State was not ranked, and the other one was, and the game still would be good.
Same thing with Auburn. Like it doesn't matter how bad Auburn is throughout the rest of the season. They're gonna be ready to play in the Iron Bowl, and sometimes even win. So I don't know. Like this. Speaking of, like, the physicality was pretty good in this game. I really like Henry Blackburn put the hit on Travis Hunter, which was a little bit dirty.
I think it was definitely dirty.
It was dirty, but
it was dirty. It was late. I think it should have been. I mean, I wouldn't say targeting because it didn't necessarily lead with his head, but
he did have. I think he did have some intent.
He did hit a defenseless player, and. I mean, yeah, I don't know. But Shedeur Sanders, again, getting back to him, man. Career night, 38 for 47, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 1 pick. I don't even care about that pick. The man threw for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. He is just on fire this year.
He's very key to that offense. I mean, then Shiloh Sanders on the side had a pick six.
An 80-yard pick six to start off the game.
Kind of like his old man.
Yeah,
seriously. Like that team is humming.
Brandon McCartney called that too. He actually called that in his pregame predictions.
Nah, so. I'm joking, Brandon. I'm sorry. I'm jealous. Okay, y'all are 3-0. My team's 2-1. Okay.
But I mean, just going back to Colorado though, that leads us into this weekend. Them going to Eugene, Oregon, and playing Bo Nix in this Oregon team where that's their toughest match of the year so far.
This is their true test to really see what Colorado is made of. They play TCU. TCU's not what they are. Sorry for the lighting change, people. It's technical difficulties.
Yeah, out of our control. But
this is like the biggest test for them. TCU is definitely not the TCU we saw last year. Nebraska is Nebraska. I don't know. It's just terrible for Nebraska fans. And then Colorado State was obviously a close win when it should have been. Probably a lot more, because considering they were a 23-point favorite and they stormed the field. I'm sorry, Colorado fans, I got to make fun of you for that like everybody else is. But this will be a tough test going into Eugene, and that place is going to be rocking. I think Bo Nix is going to have a phenomenal game, but I'm not going to give away my pick just yet.
It'll be interesting to see, and I mean we'll get into more of our preview for this week into our Pick'em segment with special guest Emily Cochran from Fox 10. And Mobile, but I think that's going to close it out with segment 1. Yeah. And now let's dive into some more NFL news.
That's right.
And our segment 2. So some crazy stuff happening this year, but let's get right into it.
All right, for segment 2, before we get started, we'd like to thank our other sponsor, Now Fitness. Now Fitness is a gym and fitness center based in Grove Hill, Alabama. They do personal training, group sessions with CrossFit and other workouts, and they help their local athletes train and get in their best shape. Call 251-269-3065. Getting close to the end of the year. Might be looking at some New Year's resolutions. Time to work out, get in the gym.
Yeah.
So go give them a call. Go check them out. And, yeah, we can't thank them enough as well for sponsoring the podcast. They're both of our sponsors. So, yeah.
But diving straight into this NFL segment.
A wild weekend.
Yeah, man. And first thing that I want to go into, I don't mean to do this to you, Bryant, and put you on the spot. But what happened to the Denver Broncos against the Commanders, man? Like, y'all came out. I was watching that. I started out watching that game, and then I switched to watch on NFL Red Zone where it was going back and forth. But I was watching that game when the Broncos went up. And I'm pretty sure you guys went up. Was it almost like was it 21-3 or was it like 21-10?
It was 21-3.
Yeah, it was 21-3. And I'm like, holy cow! I'm like, Russ is throwing some beautiful balls right on the money to like Marvin Mims or whatever his name is. Was looking great. And then after everything was looking great, it seemed like everything just fell apart after that.
I'll tell you what, the defense is just not what it is. I don't love what's going on with the defense. Vance Joseph, who is the defensive coordinator, was the head coach of Denver for a little bit before Vic Fangio. Went to Arizona, was a DC for them. He is just not it. I agree with what Rex Ryan said on ESPN. their defense would be a hell of a lot better if he was a DC. But the defensive play calling is not what it is. They just can't. Denver's problem the last several years, and it's not. And you could say it's been quarterback play. They can't finish in games. They can't play a complete game from start to finish. Like the last several years, it's normally been they couldn't get off to a great start. They would struggle all game to score, and then they'd come alive miraculously in the fourth quarter and make the game close, or sometimes win the game. But that's not. I mean, that's not. You can't do that in a 17-game season, especially when you're in the AFC West. Now this year, for the first 2 games, Denver has gotten up on the Raiders. They got up on the Raiders, and then they got up on the Commanders, and they just couldn't finish at the end. They couldn't stop neither of those teams on defense well enough to win the game. And now it was a great moment at the end where there was a Hail Mary pass, but
that was insane. Yeah, and then the 2-point conversion. I mean, Russ had Jerry Jeudy on the other side of the field. I saw that play.
Cortland Sutton it should have been a PI, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't have never came down to that in the first place.
Yeah, so, I mean, crazy.
But guess if we're on this current path, guess who holds the number 1 pick in the NFL draft right now? The Denver Broncos.
It's week 2, so I wouldn't be too excited if I were a Broncos fan because they're still the Chicago Bears. And taking a look at the Bears this past week against the Buccaneers, man, like, oh my gosh, this was a make it or break it week. Because of the fact that last week, for week 1, the Bears lost to the Packers, something that I didn't want to see as a fan. No Bears fan wanted to see. Everyone was like, this is Justin Fields' year. He's going to go off. And then obviously did not meet expectations.
I'll drink the Kool-Aid. That's what it is.
Yeah, we did drink the Kool-Aid. And then going into this week, we're like, all right, well, maybe some adjustments can be made. Maybe there'll be some turnarounds. And no, everything looked awful. Justin Fields, as much as I love Justin Fields, and I am one guy that will ride it out with Justin Fields to the end, he looked awful on Sunday. That's all I can say. As an Ohio State fan and a Bears fan, he looked awful on Sunday, did not look good, was not making the reads that he was supposed to be making. Yeah. And partially, I don't want to blame all of it on Justin Fields. I think part of it is that he was possibly a little overcoached because of the fact that last year he was one that would roll out a lot. Whenever pressure was coming, he would roll out, use his legs. And I feel like now he's been told so much to not roll out that he's just not rolling out. And then it looked bad. He was sacked 6 times. The crazy thing is, the Buccaneers put almost up 200 more yards than the Bears did. But the Bears' defense is what kept them in the game because the offense couldn't get anything rolling.
Speaking of the Buccaneers, man, they've impressed me. I mean, when they were talking about the quarterback competition and training camp and in the offseason between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield, I thought this was a team that was getting ready to tank and get in on the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, Drake May sweepstakes, Shadur Sanders sweepstakes now. Because there's a bunch of quarterbacks that are going to go in the first round. This next NFL draft is going to be insane, I think. But they have impressed me. Baker Mayfield looks like he's on a revenge tour. It is only week 2, but
he's looking good. And
the Buccaneers have a great roster. I mean, just because they don't have Tom Brady anymore doesn't mean that their roster is not good. They still have Chris Godwin, Mike Evans,
Rashad White, the running back. He went off this week.
Their offensive line is still hella good. The defense. Shaq Barrett, Carlton Davis, Antonio Winfield, and Devin White. I mean, they still have the stacked roster that they won the Super Bowl with.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
They were a team that a lot of people picked to be last in that division, but they might can give the other teams like the Falcons and the Saints a run for their money. And Baker Mayfield been playing pretty well, so I like what I've seen from the Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, me too for sure. But another team that freaked me out this week was both when the Giants were at the Cardinals. I was watching that game because I had James Conner in fantasy, and I'm like, all right, James Conner started off really hot, scoring first drive, getting a rushing touchdown. And the Cardinals started off that game up 20-0. And at half, it was 20-0. And then, for whatever reason, just let the New York frickin' Giants go off the second half. And the Giants ended up winning 31-28.
Hey, I could tell you why.
Daniel Jones,
No,
man.
no. I know. I can tell you why the Cardinals let the lead slip away. Caleb Williams.
Yeah, partially probably. They were like, Josh Dobbs, just stop, man. Like it was just crazy to see though, because
I don't think it would matter because the Giants will probably lose this weekend. They play the 49ers on Thursday Night Football, and the 49ers are probably the best team in football.
Yeah, arguably, but
other than the Dolphins, talk about the Dolphins, man. I have been one of Tua's biggest supporters. Call me biased. I don't care. I'll always pull for the Alabama quarterbacks, but Tua in particular, he has been one of the most ridiculed quarterbacks since coming into the league. And for him to go out there, he's the first quarterback to ever start his career 5-0 against Belichick.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That is insane feat of itself, but he's 2-0. He looks very comfortable in his second year with Mike McDaniel. He looks like he's really healthy. You know, he's not taking as many hits. His offensive line has been playing a lot better. He seems to be more in sync with his receivers, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, even some guys that, you know, the run game is going well. Raheem Mostert had not a career night, but had a great game night against the Patriots. I like what I'm seeing from the Dolphins. And Tua right now is the betting favorite right now to win the MVP. And by God, I hope he wins it. Nope. There's not a quarterback or player in this league that I think deserves it more than Tua after what.
Oh yeah, seriously. After last year,
after the adversity that he has handled and everything that he has gone through, if he were to win the MVP this season, I might break down in tears, man.
Yeah, I bet you would. But I mean, it's just this past week though in general is just like I don't want to get in depth into every single game, but 10 out of the 14 games. So out of all 14 games, 10 of them were one-score games. Yeah. And it's like you look at them, and some of those were one-point games, like the Falcons over the Packers. Shout out to the Falcons. I mean, Cody was super happy about that.
It's just week 2, Cody. Yeah. Falcons are still trash.
Yeah, but I mean, like, seriously, though, like, lots of just crazy games. And I mean, then again, a team that lost, taking a look at the Texans against the Colts, I was shocked with how C.J. Stroud played. You look at what the weapons that he has around him, he has close to nothing. And I mean, he threw for 384 yards and 2 touchdowns in his second start. That was impressive to me.
I'm shocked with how Joe Burrow is playing.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, too. Just like things that you have not been expecting to see within the first 2 weeks of the NFL season, we're seeing. And it's like, what the hell is going on? It has just been absolutely crazy. And yeah, seriously, I've not been expecting any of this, but this week's going to just, I mean, I don't know, just every year more, like every week. And I mean, I swear every single year, NFL and college football, like you say it every week, you're like, oh, like stuff is happening that shouldn't be happening, and it happens every year. But it's just like right now, more than anything too, especially with injuries too, like Nick Chubb just getting injured, JK going down again, Joe Burrow not meeting expectations, and all these other people, like, it's wild.
He took his check and then...
And dipped, yeah.
Deshaun Watson looking terrible. The Browns, tell you what you want about the Russell Wilson trade. The Deshaun Watson trade is looking that's looking even better than the Deshaun Watson trade right now.
Seriously. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely crazy. But I mean, we're excited to see what happens this week with NFL and
we're ready to
college football. But yeah, we're gonna bring on
our guest picker,
Emily Cochran
from Fox 10.
We're about to dive right into our Week 4 preview for college football and our Week 4 pick'em.
Can she tie or maybe even beat
Alyssa Spircioli? Yeah, she went 6 for 7 last week in our pick'em segment.
She's our new leader, and if for some reason Emily goes 6-1, we're going to have to come up with a tiebreaker again.
Yeah, 100%. So, heck yeah, but let's bring on Emily.
All right, everybody, for our Week 4 pick'em segment, we have the sports director at Fox 10 News here in Mobile, Emily Cochran. Like I was telling you on the open, I intern there, and I'm having the privilege and opportunity to work under her and work beside her and shadow her. And it's been an incredible opportunity that she's provided me, and we're so glad to have you here.
I'm so happy that we met each other and connected this way. It's been fun having you come intern with us. I know it's been a bit crazy, but I think you've had fun doing 1st and 10 and all that. So
I couldn't be there last Friday, but it was well worth it going to Oklahoma State and seeing South come out with that big win.
Oh, yeah, understandably so. I mean, that's a huge win for South Alabama.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that you were there to see it.
Now they got homecoming this week, and they're looking to keep on rolling. So
yeah, Central Michigan.
That's right.
The Chips.
Chippewas.
Yep. Are you excited for this one?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, South's having a good year. Like, I mean, every single year, like last year, South had their first good year, and then like this year now too, especially coming off that Oklahoma State win. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, y'all beat a Power 5 program twice now. Mississippi State in 2016, and now this. I mean, that's big.
And barely losing to UCLA last year.
I know. That game still haunts me. Still haunts me to this day.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get into our picks. Josh, what's first up on the list?
Starting out first up on the list, we have number 6 Ohio State. My Buckeyes head to Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana, playing the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish. And I mean, Ohio State kind of had a very slow start compared to what a lot of people were expecting. Marvin Harrison didn't start out the way that people were anticipating him to. Kyle McCord definitely didn't start out the way they wanted him to. But last week, Ohio State came out. They destroyed Western Kentucky, who had a solid offense. Ohio State scored 35 points in the final 8 minutes of the second quarter. And they just went off. I mean, Notre Dame, though, you look at their roster, they have Sam Hartman, who's having arguably up there with I wouldn't say in the Heisman conversation, but he's having a great year at Notre Dame. He's passed for over 1,000 yards already. All of their running backs are playing well, too. One of their running backs has over 500 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns through 4 games, because this is their week 5 since they started a week early. But I don't think Notre Dame has not played a Power 5 opponent yet this season in their first 4 games. So I think that Ohio State has a little bit of the advantage that they're coming off of a huge week offensively that we really haven't seen yet from Ohio State. And I got Ohio State taking down the number 9 Fighting Irish in South Bend, Indiana.
I'm torn on this one. Last year it was played in the shoe at Ohio State. It was very close most of the game, then Ohio State pulled away. Notre Dame plays, so they're kind of like, they don't take this the harsh way. It's kind of like Michigan. They play so physical. They run the ball well. Then they're able to utilize the pass game. Now they have a quarterback that can take advantage of the mismatches that Notre Dame will have against Ohio State and be able to pass and complete passes when they need to. I like Notre Dame at home. I think Notre Dame is too physical of a team. Ohio State, when they play very physical teams, they don't do as well. It's like they don't match the physicality, especially you've seen it the last few years of Michigan. They're really the only team to be as physical as they were against Ohio State, and so I'm picking Notre Dame.
I don't know if I can talk to you until after Saturday, Brian.
We'll see.
I'll be the tiebreaker here. I'm going Ohio State in this one. I think it's going to be closer than what people think, but I'm definitely going Ohio State. I had a teacher in middle school that was from Ohio, huge Ohio State fan. I mean, classroom decked out in Buckeyes gear, so he would be happy to hear me picking Ohio State.
And this is one of those games that could go either way, in my opinion. I think it's going to be close.
To me too. I think it'll start out close. I think at halftime, I think Notre Dame might even have the lead at halftime, but I think coming out of the half, I think Ohio State's just going to straight dominate. But
we will see.
We will see, but
like I said, Notre Dame's going to want to keep the offense off the field, and they're going to want to run the football. So
yeah, and I mean, continuing on with the ranked matchups, this whole week is almost a whole slate of ranked matchups. We have number 19 Colorado headed to number 10 Oregon, and this game is a huge game too for obviously both teams. Colorado is missing Travis Hunter; he's out after that brutal
shot to the ribs.
Yeah, brutal shot against Colorado State. I mean, that game should not have been anywhere near as close as I think we were expecting it to be. And obviously, Bo Nix having a great year in Oregon.
Can't stand Bo Nix.
The only thing that I have against Oregon going into this matchup is, yes, they're 3-0, but I think they squeaked by Texas Tech week 2 when they won 38-30, and they got a pick 6 at the final minute of the game to seal it. And I don't know. This game's really, really interesting to me just because of the fact that the 2 big games for Colorado State and TCU, they only won by 1 score, both those games. And I think especially against Colorado State, that being their rival, they should have won by a hell of a lot more, and they didn't. And I don't know. For this game, I just have Oregon coming out on top. I think they're the better team. They're home. Bo Nix is hot this year. And without Travis Hunter for Colorado, I think it's going to be hard for Shadur himself to just kind of conquer over this Oregon defense too.
I like the Ducks as well. Oregon's a 21-point favorite in this game. I think Colorado will cover even without Travis Hunter. I don't know. I just feel like this is their first big test for Colorado. You know, the last few teams that they've played, not really the caliber that Oregon. Dan Lanning has done an incredible job there. He's building Oregon kind of like an SEC or Big Ten team, where they're physical on defense, they're physical up front. And Bo Nix, man, I don't hate him, but I dislike him because he did beat Alabama his freshman year. He's a former Auburn quarterback. But what he's been able to do since he's been at Oregon has been really special, and he's got a chance to really take this team as far as they want to go. So I'm going with the Ducks here.
Y'all, I don't agree with either one of you. I'm going with Colorado. I know that's like probably an unpopular opinion, but to see what Deion Sanders has done in such a short amount of time with this team, and yes, Travis Hunter's out. Yes, that injury, they're gonna be missing him this weekend. But I don't know. Shedeur is just. I feel like he's a Heisman candidate. He should definitely be in that conversation.
Oh, he is.
I personally think he's the front runner right now. Until
he has what, like 1,200 something passing yards,
but I just don't know if Colorado has enough depth to match Oregon physically. Oregon is going to be physical. They're going to want to hit. They're going to be. I mean, they squeaked by Colorado State, who was physical, as you could see by that hit. So I don't know. I mean, this one. I think Colorado covers. I mean, if I was a betting man, which sometimes I am, I would pick Colorado to cover, but I just like the Ducks.
Yeah.
Quack.
I can see that. I do think last week with Colorado playing Colorado State, I mean, things always get crazy in rivalry games, and I think that's why it was the way that it was. It doesn't matter who's good, who's not, who you're projecting, who's going to win going into it. Rivalry games always get dicey. There's always that level of, yeah, we hate each other.
And you never know how the team's going to respond after an emotional win like that. We're talking about South Alabama, coming off that win to Oklahoma State, how do they handle that, going forward? So it's definitely something to watch there with Colorado. But it's going to be a good game. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. A lot of people tuning in to watch Colorado. Probably more views than they've ever had in the history of their program. So
yeah, seriously, we know Brandon McCartney is so hyped about this.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours. He's a Colorado fan, huge Colorado fan.
Always, his grandpa was the coach for Colorado in the '90s when they won the national championship, and he's like going crazy about all this. And I mean, it's fun to see. It's fun to see like how happy he is too, and like just all Colorado fans that are like have truly been Colorado fans since the beginning.
Yeah.
But sticking in the Pac-12, there's a couple Pac-12 matchups that we have in our 7 games of the week this week. But number 14 Oregon State headed to number 21 Washington State. This is an interesting matchup because honestly, I did not see either of these teams in the top 25 at the beginning of the season. Especially DJ Ugalele, or however you say his last name. Like, he left Clemson. Now Clemson's not even in the top 25. Yeah. And, I mean, he's not having a great year there. I'm pretty sure he's passing for, like, barely over 600 yards. Their one running back is having a great year. But, I mean, this game is so iffy because Washington State beat Wisconsin at home to start off their season, I think week 2.
Yeah.
And Washington State has Cam Ward, who's like really lighting it up on the field with like 900-something passing yards. The Pac-12 quarterbacks are going off this year, and almost every single one of them is like showing elite play thus far. And I think that Washington State is going to upset Oregon State. Washington State's home. They have a little bit better of a high like firepower offense, and I just think Washington State's going to take this one from Oregon State.
You know what's special about this game to me? These are the 2 remaining teams left in the Pac-12, and here they are ranked, playing each other. Both 3-0. Both, a lot of people didn't like the conferences that took the other Pac-12 teams. The ACC taking Cal and Stanford, Big 12 taking 4 teams, Big 10 taking the 4 teams they did. These 2 teams have been left kind of, stranded. I would love to see these 2 teams say, "Screw you, we're gonna." Try and win this thing in our last season as the Pac-12. But I like the Washington State Cougars here as well at home. Cam Ward is pretty good. So is DJU, but I like Washington State. But I just like this matchup because of like that like realization that this is the 2 remaining teams in the Pac-12 once those other teams move on to their conferences next year. So I like Washington State.
Isn't it crazy how they've really risen above, even though their conference has fallen apart? I think that's awesome for both those 2 teams. But I got to go with Washington State. I agree with both of you on this one. hopefully that's the outcome since we're all picking that team.
Yeah, I would hope so. But
it's happened to us the last few weeks where we've all gone across the road with one team, and then Alabama, Texas for one.
Yeah,
and South and Tulane.
Did you picked Alabama in that game, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Who'd you pick?
I picked Alabama.
I picked Texas.
Oh no, the only reason you picked Texas because they denied your media
Yeah,
your
I mean
media
that's
credentials.
not the only reason, but yeah, no, I was really happy when Texas won. That's gonna make a lot of Bama fans really upset.
Especially since you cover Bama football.
Exactly, I know.
Okay, but now for this next game, we still have another Pac-12 matchup. I want to jump out of the Pac-12 for a second and look at number 4 Florida State headed to Clemson. And I mean, this is a huge game too because I mean, obviously Clemson is not where they want to be after losing to Duke week 1. Dabo is not anywhere near where he wants to be right now. And then number 4 Florida State is coming off of a 2-point win at Boston College last week. I was watching that game at work, and I'm like, what the? Like, I was like, that was Florida State bumped back a spot. They weren't the 3rd-ranked team last week. And I was just like, what the heck is going on? Like, Jordan Travis did not look good. Their defense still looked all right, but there was just so many little mistakes that as the number 3 team in the country, you don't want to see them making. And in all honesty, I think that Dabo right now has a chip on his shoulder. I think number 4 Florida State goes to Clemson. That's my upset of the day. I think Clemson is upsetting Florida State at Clemson.
That's a tough.
I mean, it is tough. I don't think Cade Klubnik is good at all. I think he's still going to have a pretty bad game. I think Will Shipley is the guy that's going to go off. But I think Clemson upsets Florida State.
What I think what happened with Florida State last week is they were looking ahead to this game because, let's be honest, Boston College really hasn't done much in the ACC. I don't know when the last time they've won anything in the ACC. That's no shot at Boston College, but you'd rather be worried. You'd be more worried about Clemson, even with the struggles that they've had recently, than Boston College. So I think they were looking ahead, but I think that 2-point win probably brought them back down to earth. Said, hey, we still are beatable after beating LSU. I think Mike Norvell's going to get his team ready. Travis Hunter is going to be ready. I like Florida State big in this one. Actually, I like them by a few touchdowns. Actually,
I'm torn on this one. I'm really torn because I've had questions about Clemson. Is the Dabo Swinney era over? Like, what are they going to look like this season? And then Florida State kind of snuck up on me. I mean, they've just had a lot of success, look good. I don't know. Like you said, I mean, I think maybe it could be an upset, but I think in this one, I've got to go Florida State. I've got to go Florida State.
I'm the only one. The thing is, I have to pick a big upset. So that's the only reason why I took Clemson. And last week, though, going back to that Boston College Florida State game, I thought there was a chance Boston College could win that game because they're wearing their red bandana uniforms. And going into that game, they were undefeated in their red bandana uniforms. So maybe that's why they played so well against Florida State. But who knows? But
we'll see. It's going to be a good one.
No, it definitely is going to be a good one for sure. But that leads us into another huge matchup, Big Ten matchup, going into number 24 Iowa, headed to Beaver Stadium, playing number 7 Penn State in a whiteout game. It's a whiteout game for Penn State.
Oh, it's whiteout. I'm picking.
Oh
Penn
yeah,
State.
I think it's automatically a Penn State pick for me too. But I mean, like looking at it at the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure we had Iowa week 1 for one of our pick'ems, and obviously, Iowa always has a good defense. This year, I thought they were going to be better offensively with Cade McNamara, the Michigan transfer, but he's only passed for like 400-something yards in the first 3 games, not where he wants to be at all. Their running backs are all right, but the 2 leading receivers for Iowa are 2 tight ends, and both of them have like barely over 100 receiving yards. I think Penn State is just too good. Drew Aller's off to a great start, and it's a whiteout game for Penn State at Beaver Stadium. So
yeah, whiteout game is automatically. I mean that atmosphere is electric. I would love to go there and go to a game one day at Beaver Stadium to a whiteout game. Drew Aller, I've been impressed with, and I also like Penn State's running backs. They're physical, and they have a legit chance. You know, Michigan struggled last week with Bowling Green, and Ohio State, other than last weekend, has struggled. So I think Penn State's got a real shot to win the Big Ten, and I like where they're headed. So I'm picking Penn State.
Yeah, I think I've got to agree. I'm with Penn State, too. I mean, going into that atmosphere, home field advantage, I mean, those fans, it's going to be nuts. Whiteout game, definitely. Yeah, I'm going Penn State.
All right, and then for our second to last game, headed back to the Pac-12. Big Pac-12 matchup here, probably the Pac-12 matchup. Well, I mean, Oregon-Colorado is probably the Pac-12 matchup of the week, but another one to look out for is number 22 UCLA going to number 11 Utah. And the thing that's interesting about this game is Utah almost lost to Baylor 2 weeks ago in week 2. UCLA's had 3 wins that were all right, but still hasn't played a Power 5 opponent yet. This is their first conference matchup of the year. And the thing for me is the make or break situation is Cam Rising playing? Because Cam Rising has missed the first 3 games for Utah, and Utah released today actually that he will be a game time decision. I guess he practiced today. He practiced a little bit yesterday with limited snaps. But it's like, if Cam Rising is playing, I think it's Utah by a mile. And if Cam Rising isn't playing, I think UCLA is taking this one. But right now, I'm just going to go with my gut, and I'm going to pick Utah because I love the Utes. They've won the Pac-12 back-to-back years, and I just think that what Kyle Whittingham has there, I think Utah's taking it.
The thing about the Pac-12 is they always cannibalize themselves every year where they have a team that looks like it's going to be a contender, and then they lose to somebody they shouldn't. Like USC last year lost to Utah twice. Utah lost to UCLA and Oregon, and so I think I like UCLA here to go in there and upset Utah just because it's the Pac-12. They always lose to somebody they shouldn't. Utah shouldn't lose to UCLA, but last year UCLA won this game, and so I like the Bruins to go in there and upset Utah.
I'm going Utah. My uncle went to Utah. If I didn't pick Utah, he would be so disappointed. My mom lived in Utah for like 3 years. She loves the Utes, so yeah, that's based on, football decision, yes, but like family stuff too. I'm definitely pulling for Utah.
I don't blame you. I won't blame you for that one.
See, the thing is too, though, it's serious. I feel like that game seriously does come down to Cam Rising. Like if he's playing Utah, I don't know.
That makes a huge difference.
It does.
That's a huge. I mean, that really is. It's make or break kind of thing.
Yeah, literally the heart and soul of their team, and like you've seen Utah struggle throughout the first 3 weeks against teams they shouldn't have been struggling with, and yeah, that's just how I feel. But final matchup of the day, one that you two probably got some beef with.
Probably.
But number 15 Ole Miss headed to Bryant-Denny in Tuscaloosa, playing the number 13 Alabama Crimson Tide. After Alabama had a struggling game against USF last week, 17-3.
It was torture.
But I mean, then again, y'all didn't have Jalen Milroe playing, so that's. I mean, you guys can discuss this out right now. I'm gonna scooch away, but
okay. So, big thing for me is the Alabama offense going up against a Pete Golding defense, which Pete Golding, is known for giving up huge points. So. But until Alabama can show me that they can play winning football and consistent football, especially on offense, what happened against Texas, and I truly believe this, the defense just got tired of having to pick up after the offense. The offense couldn't score a touchdown until the third quarter, and so the defense just got tired, and you've seen that multiple times with Alabama over the years in games that they have lost where they couldn't get anything going offensively. Until Alabama can show me that they can play winning football, I'm taking Ole Miss, man. I'm taking the Rebels.
No way.
I'm taking the Rebels.
I'm honestly shocked.
I'm shocked too. What the?
Until it's a prove it to me
Pigs
thing with
flying.
Alabama, and that's so shocking for me to say because you don't. It's not. It's always Alabama until it's not. Like anytime the preseason, it's always Alabama until it's not. And I think I'm not one of these people that go and say the dynasty's over. I still think Saban will try and get him one more before he retires. But this year, it's so many unknowns. The offensive line is shaky. Milroe, after sitting out a game, will he be able to bounce back from that? I'm not sure. It's a prove it to me game for Alabama, and right now, I don't know. So I'm picking the Rebels.
I mean, of course I'm picking Ole Miss, but I have my reasons. If I could sit here today and if I really thought that Alabama was going to beat us, then I would say yes, Alabama's going to win. But this is my thing. Like you said, that O-line is weak. Out of all 3 quarterbacks in the past 3 weeks, they've already been sacked 12 times. And their team in 2019, all season, the quarterback was sacked 12 times.
I saw that stat.
That's ridiculous to me. And it's just, it really is sad because at the beginning of the season, we all thought that O-line was going to be one of their biggest strengths, and it's turned out to be one of their biggest weaknesses.
The biggest problem for the O-line is they're too big. You got on the tackles, you have J.C. Latham, who's 360 pounds, and Caden Proctor, a freshman, who's 370 pounds. How are you supposed to move, especially at the tackle position, where you're supposed to be able to move that much, and you're protecting the quarterback the most because you're going up against those physical and speedy defensive ends and outside linebackers? how can you move when you're that big? I think they're too big. I mean, remember before the season started, they came out with something saying that Alabama had the biggest O-line weight average across the board.
They're NFL-sized guys. I mean, massive.
But I just think they're probably a little bit too big. I'm not calling them fat, but
they can't move. Like you said, they can't move.
Like, and so and when they go up against somebody who's quicker than them, then it just that's what happens. So.
Which scares me, because if you can't protect your quarterback's going to get hurt. They can only take so many hits like that. It's so hard on the body, and also Ole Miss's offense. I mean, we've got a great quarterback in Jackson Dart. He's really come around, really done some great things. I think Lane Kiffin is an offensive-minded coach.
The only thing that worries me for Ole Miss is Judkins has kind of been disappointing throughout the first 3 games. If Alabama can stuff the run game, I think they'll be in a great position.
I think they could be in a great position there, but I mean, then again, Jackson Dart has literally just been balling, like almost passing for 900 yards. Ole Miss is averaging almost 53 points a game in their first 3 games. I think I think Jackson Dart is going to have a career game and tear apart Alabama's defense.
I don't know about.
And then Trey Harris.
I think it's
one of Ole Miss's. He's their number 3 wide receiver, number 3 at least in receiving yards, but he has 5 of Jackson Dart's 7 passing touchdowns, and he's been going off. And I'm like, I don't know.
I think it's a low-scoring game because I think both teams are going to try to fill each other out, and you never know with Pete Golding's defense. The thing with him is you never know if one day they're going to wake up and be good, or if they're going to be bad. I've seen the last several years Alabama has had Pete Golding, and it's like a roller coaster. Like some games they'll play pretty good. Other games they'll give up 52 points to Tennessee, or that one game in 2020 where they played Ole Miss and they gave up 42 and it was a shootout throughout the game. And that was the COVID year. So I mean, I don't know, but like I said, it's a prove it game for me for Alabama, and that's so shocking for me to say, and I hate to say it, but I can't let my bias of Alabama get the best of me here.
I just think if Ole Miss does win, I don't think that it's anything to be like, oh my God, we beat Alabama, because this year's team, this Alabama team of 2023 is not like the Alabama teams of the past.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a big part of it does have to do with Nick Saban did not go into the transfer portal and get a great quarterback.
He thought the quarterback battle was going to be settled in the spring, and it just wasn't. I mean,
you hate to see it. I don't think that the Nick Saban era is over by any means. I think he is the greatest college coach to ever do it. I don't mind saying that. I'm not a huge Alabama fan, but I do like Nick Saban and what he does. So I think Alabama's just having an off year. And again, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. Yeah. But if Alabama doesn't win this game, playoff it's out of the picture.
Oh yeah,
not a shot.
There's
not
no
a shot.
chance.
Hotty toddy though. Hope the Rebs get the win.
Yeah, I mean, I can't pick Ole Miss and say Roll Tide, but I'm not going to say Hotty Toddy either. So
you've kind of said both. You just said both, so I'll take it.
But I mean, if Alabama does win, I will come on here next week and I will eat the crow, and I will be happy. But we'll see. It's a tough one. I mean, Alabama being at home in Bryant-Denny is an advantage, but who knows?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, looking forward to seeing this whole week's slate of games, like lots of huge games. Looking forward to seeing how your picks turn out, to see if you can beat 6 out of 7 picks. Hopefully, we'll see.
And you got some other games too. You got Auburn at A&M, big test for those two. A&M looking to bounce back from a loss against Miami. Auburn looking to get some
improve that run game. It's just that run game is rough.
That's right.
And Texas A&M they don't let teams convert third downs. So
Miami converted a lot of them against Texas A&M.
Yeah, you're not wrong. My brother went to Texas A&M. So I can't stand Jimbo Fisher. I think they need to buy him out of his contract and
definitely.
They have all this money in the world. Get him a new good head coach. But
yeah.
It's good. I think all the games this week are going to be really good. I'm going to hopefully get to watch every single one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Heck yeah. Well, we thank you for coming on and being our guest picker for this week. It's been a blast. And, we'll see how these picks end up turning out. But then again, thank you so much. We appreciate it more than you know.
Yeah, of course. No, thanks for having me. I'll come back anytime. This was fun.
Oh, yeah.